The hall was aglow. Crystal chandeliers fell with light, shimmering on highly polished floors where flower petals had been strewn with fastidious devotion. Guests murmured as they sat down, the quiet hum of anticipation vibrating like electricity. And at the focal point of it all was Robyn Brown, shining in her immaculately selected dress, the train flowing behind her like a ribbon of silk. This was the moment, or so it was supposed to be. Her vow renewal ceremony with Kody, a celebration of undying love. But beneath all the smiles and clapping, tension was stewing like fissures in a cracked ice lake. Something was amiss, and soon the whole world would be witness to just how amiss it was. The Brown family was fractured for years. The fissures had appeared on camera, in hushed interviews, in tears that refused to dry. Christine had walked away, Janelle's allegiance had grown thin, and Meri hung in the background, torn between bitterness and tender hope. But Robyn, she stayed, the sole remaining pillar beside Kody. Today was meant to be her payoff. A public affirmation that she was the one he had chosen most. But the other wives' eyes scalded holes in the flawless image. This was not a vow renewal. It was a declaration of war. The music built. Kody smoothed his suit, his face set, his blonde crew cut immaculately groomed for the cameras. But his eyes nervously scanned the ranks of seats. He'd invited friends, far-off relatives, even neighbors, all to witness his big gesture. He wanted this moment, not just for Robyn, but for himself. A man who had been losing his hold on his family needed a show to demonstrate that he was still in charge. But deep inside, he knew control was fading. And nothing is more perilous than a family driven beyond the limits of silence. You could sense it in the room. The tension that hung around the air like moisture before a storm. Christine was seated in the second row, her expression serene, but her fists cramped in her lap. She had vowed that she would not make a scene. She would allow Kody to humiliate himself before all. But her mind flashed back to the nights of manipulation, the constant battles, the tears of her children, and as she looked over at Janelle sitting next to her, she could see the same tempest building. They hadn't verbalized their plan, but they didn't have to. The days of silent struggle were over. And here's where you sit back. Because what you're going to witness is not like anything you've ever seen in a wedding. This is not a romance. It's the destruction of one. Meri fidgeted in her chair, observing all of it through glazed eyes. She had been on the periphery, half in, half out of Kody's orbit, for years. Something inside her told her today would be different. Though, today decisions would be made that could never be reversed. She smoothed out the creases in her dress, and pasted on a smile as one of the guests next to her asked if she were excited. Excited? That was a word that seemed strange. What she did feel was fear. Robyn meanwhile smiled widely at the cameras, but her lips quivered at the corners. She had begged for this vow renewal, convinced it would heal old wounds and silence critics. She had envisioned it 1,000 times. The applause, the tears, the kiss that sealed their forever. Yet as she scanned the room, her chest tightened. Christine's sharp gaze, Janelle's restless shifting, Meri's hollow stare. These weren't the faces of women celebrating love. These were the faces of women honing knives behind velvet drapes. The officiant cleared his throat. The audience fell silent, and the music resolved into a whisper. Kody came forward, his hand extending to Robyn's. She placed hers in his, their fingers entwining. A vision for the paparazzi flashbulbs that popped like firework explosions. The vows commenced. We are here today to reaffirm the vows of Kody and Robyn Brown. A love grounded on faith, fortitude, and devotion. But there was one thing lacking in this room. Commitment had been dead years ago, entombed beneath favoritism, jealousy, and betrayal. The words floated on, but the wives weren't listening. Christine's pulse raced as she thought of what she had hidden in her purse. A letter written by one of the children, words that would shatter the illusion of Kody's perfect marriage. Janelle's mind burned with numbers, bank accounts, and secrets that Robyn and Kody had hoped no one would ever trace. And Meri's heart pounded, because she knew she couldn't stay silent forever. The time had come. The crowd hushed. The vows were being said. But in place of a vow of love, the stage was set for betrayal. Sometimes the loveliest weddings do not end with a kiss, but with a confession. And when it did come, it would shatter the Brown family into 1,000 pieces in public. The music drifts like scent on the air, something sweet and old-fashioned that attempts to get the room to believe in fairy tales once more. But beneath it, there is a low hum, an anxious heartbeat the microphones can't pick up. Warm camera bulbs illuminate the aisle in a soft white light. Flower petals rise and fall, with each step of a tardy guest. Robyn stands just out of view behind an eucalyptus and pale rose-draped arch, tilting her chin up for the makeup artist one final time. "You look perfect," someone says softly. She nods, but the nod is fragile. A porcelain doll set down on a shelf too near the edge. Kody fiddles with the cuff links in the light of a gold-framed mirror standing close to the stage. He attempts to smile, and it almost succeeds. Almost, in the second row, Christine hides the small letter in her clutch, feeling the crease marks like braille. She reminded herself she'd put it back in the drawer where she'd found it. She reminded herself that it wasn't her business. But sometime last night, something shifted. Not a yell, not a fight, just a silence that was like being underwater. She pulled out the letter and read it again by the kitchen light. Scribbled writing, crossings out, a confession that had the flavor of iron. Now in this room sugared with flowers and layered with meaning, that paper won't stop burning her fingertips. Janelle studies the aisle runner as if the pattern on the fabric might arrange her thoughts. She's the practical one. The numbers one. The bridge builder who always believed in a plan. But plans, she's learned, can be cages if you're not careful. The flower vendor brushes against her, releasing a trail of peony perfume. And Janelle's eyes prick with tears. Not now. Not in front of all these people. Not with the reporters and photographers here to make every flutter a news story. She rubs at her eyes and smiles and pretends to be inspecting her mascara. The thing is, she isn't crying. She's angry. And anger has a nasty habit of bubbling over. Meri's dress is understated on purpose. An elegant navy that lets her disappear if she needs to. For years she has been hiding in plain sight, and she's so good at it that sometimes even she forgets where she went. She watches the stage crew argue about a microphone stand near the altar. One insists it should be tilted. The other says vertical. It's just so tiny. Ridiculously tiny. And yet the argument blazes and dies like a matchstick. Meri is curious what would be the result of today if she said precisely what she is thinking. Not the soft, measured words that keep her safe from the gathering dark, but the black coffee truth. It's alluring. Even the idea of it is a door opening onto the cold air. Stay with me. Because even in this calm, every breath in this room is counting down to a moment they'll never be able to take back. The officiant, a friend of a friend with a deep voice and a fondness for long pauses, confers with the sound engineer. "We'll begin the prelude in 60 seconds, he says, hand over the handheld mic. Behind, the string quartet breathes as a unit. Bows ready. A man in the fourth row sneezes, apologizes, laughs too loudly, and then becomes quiet, his face flaming. Down the aisle, a youth no longer a child, but not yet ready for this, thumbs a phone with crazed intent, faking someplace else to be. A producer gets down low, whispering in a camera operator's ear, "Get the swing to Kody when the vows start. We need the tears." If there are tears. The operator nods. There are always tears. Behind the flower arch, Robyn clamps the bouquet so tightly that a rose petal cracks off and falls to the floor. She thinks of it as a break, a sign of good fortune, making space for something better. But the vision falters the moment it comes. Her hands are slippery. A stylist holds out a tissue. Robyn puts a forced smile on and declines. She's afraid the tissue will snag on the lace. She's afraid of anything leaving a trace. "We're almost ready," Kody says, appearing at the edge of the drape. For a heartbeat, his voice is soft. The voice that once made a young woman believe in second chances. Then he's gone again, pulled by another question about lighting. Christine watches him go, and her jaw tightens. She remembers her own wedding day, wrapping hope around her like a shawl, pretending it was warm enough. She recalls drawing that shawl closer every year, every month, every week, until her arms hurt. Are you okay? Janelle breathes, not even glancing at her, voice hardly stirring the air. Christine nods. A small fib. I'm okay, she says. And the letter in her purse thumps again like a heartbeat. She's caring for someone else. A silence spreads from the stage to the doors, like a piece of white glass being drawn over the space. The quartet starts, slow, measured. The initial notes ripple down the aisle runner, pulling at lace and silk. Kody enters the light, and the room draws a breath. The way a crowd takes a breath for a magician's unveiling. He is dressed for the part. Suit pressed, smile practiced but big enough to deceive, chin firm. He finds a friendly anchor in the seats, and settles on Meri. She nods to him silently. It's not support, and it is not defiance. It's acknowledgement. A complicated kind. See how quickly a room will consent to be deceived when the stage is sufficiently attractive. The officiant addresses the guests. We gather here to celebrate a renewal, he reads. A promise once made, made again. An endless circle. Phrases like these are coined to be cheered. They're liked because they're smooth, and they don't snag on anything. But in the second row they snag. Christine hears circle and thinks about patterns. Janelle hears promise and thinks of bank accounts. Meri hears spoken again, and wonders what it's like when words become smoke. Two little kids, cousins, flower bearers, fidget uneasily by the aisle, baskets in their hands. Their eyes great pools in the light of the chandelier. One of them says to the other that they can go home yet. After cake. The other one whispers. And the first one nods with serious gravity, as if cake was a promise. The signal comes. The drapes open. Robyn advances into applause. That's so generous it sounds practiced. Her dress shimmers and bounces back off the room like money flung into a crowd. On the monitors she glows. On the floor she shakes. She and Kody lock eyes halfway up the aisle. And for an instant, just one. They're alone on earth. Then someone coughs. A chair creaks. The spell breaks, and the world rushes back in. Christine doesn't intend to, but she looks left, right, weighing it out. How far to the aisle? How far to the stage? How heavy the letter feels in the clutch. She thinks about what would occur if she got up now. If she spoke. What? The truth? But the truth is complicated. And complicated truth is seldom the sort that transforms someone in a room like this. She clamps her knees together and breathes through her nose, counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Robyn sits and Kody takes her hand. The officiant smiles, as if love were a breath he can contain, not breathe. Outside thunderheads form. Not dramatic. Not staged. Just weather creeping up behind the celebrant. The back doors whisper in a gust of air, and one candle shudders. This is your reminder. The moments that look the most perfect are usually the ones balanced on the thinnest ice. Before vows, the officiant says, we'll hear a few words about the journey that brought us here. He opens his palm toward Kody. This is Kody's favorite part. He likes arcs. He likes to turn conflict into speeches that leave him at the center of the solution. He clears his throat, squeezes Robyn's fingers, and addresses the room. We've been through storms, he says, voice steady, eyes bright. We've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. But love is the lesson. And today is about our lesson learned. Christine feels the heat rise in her chest. A flush she cannot will away. She thinks of nights when love meant silence. She thinks of apologies that came with conditions attached. She remembers how many times she had educated her children to wear courageous faces, and how courageous faces occasionally become masks that will not be removed. Janelle ankles crosses, maintains her posture fixed, allows her eyes to wander to a floral centerpiece, so she may appear calm, while silently counting the dates, the wire transfers, the vanishing commas that once represented safety. Kody speaks of forgiveness. He addresses the audience as if he is a pastor, flails his hands, as if he can bless them just by moving them. Family is forever, he tells them. And the cameras capture Robyn's glassy stare, precisely on schedule. The room relaxes. It's working. The monologue is working. And he adds, too lightly, We stand here because we chose the right path. And allows the words to hang. Heavy, divisive, triumphant. Christine winces. Janelle's lips compress. Meri closes her eyes for a moment like a swimmer counting strokes. The words do not quite accuse. They don't quite say. Kody's words hang in the air like smoke. Sweet to some, and choking to others. We made the right decision, he declares. As if this is gospel. Robyn's grip on his hand tightens, her lips quivering with thanks. But in the back row, Christine can feel her fingernails digging into the crease of her palm. The right decision. Whose right decision? She glances over at her children, sitting in the back row, their faces torn between good manners and unspoken secrets. And she knows. This vow renewal is no mere ritual. It's a rewriting of history. A narrative Kody wishes etched in granite as the cameras document. Janelle rocks back and forth in her seat, the term right clanging around inside her head, like a penny inside an empty tin can. She knows numbers don't lie. The transactions she followed, the funds routed, the money gone. Everything led her down a path. Yes, but not the one Kody is gloating about. Her gut hangs into knots. If the truth is revealed here, it won't be just humiliating. It will be devastating. Meri tightens her lips, observing Kody stand a little taller, with every word, his chest bulging as if the clapping is already ringing in his ears. There is no clapping though. Not yet, only silence. Heavy and uncomfortable. She can't help but wonder if he's aware. She can't help but wonder if he even matters. Remember this silence. Among a crowd of people is never empty. It's full of what nobody is brave enough to voice out aloud. Kody starts to tell their story. He speaks of struggles, forgiveness, and faith. He portrays himself as a man who has weathered storms and prioritized love above everything else. Every sentence is fine-tuned, every hesitation deliberate. It's not a vow renewal. It's theater. And tonight, the stage is his. Robyn looks at him like a disciple gazing at her prophet. She doesn't notice the doubt in Christine's eyes, or the manner in which Janelle swallows repeatedly, as though gagging on words. She notices only the man who had promised her protection, who had given her the illusion of being the chosen one. And for a fleeting instant she believes once more. But Christine can no longer sit still. She leans forward, clutching her purse, her hand closed around the letter inside. Her heart thumps like a drum in her chest. Shall she? Can she? Every sensible part of her says no. Don't spoil the moment. Don't be the bad guy in Robyn's fairy tale. But another voice says more insistently. If not now, then when? Janelle catches the motion, her gaze flying to Christine's white-knuckled fists. She leans toward her, whispering tightly. Not here. Not yet. Christine doesn't respond. She can't. Because the officiant has just asked Robyn to speak. And the room falls silent once more. Robyn advances, bouquet shaking in her hands. Her voice breaks on the first syllable. I just want to thank God for this man, she continues, her eyes shining with tears. She looks at Kody, her face radiating with devotion. You've stood by me through so much. You've accepted me when others rejected me. And today is proof that love wins. The audience whispers assent. Muted applause echoes through the room. Robyn's tears drop into rhythm with her speech, like glass beads shattering on stone. But in the front row, Christine seethes. Chosen me when others turned away. The knife turns. She was one of those others. And in Robyn's words, she is nothing more than a quitter, a hindrance to Kody's purpose. Christine's hand shakes over her purse. Her lips open. She feels the words ratcheting their way up her throat. Janelle coils, poised to cut her off. Meri stands with large, unblinking eyes. This is the moment that determines everything. Whether the truth remains concealed, or explodes into the air like glass shattering on marble. Robyn goes on, her voice steadier now. This marriage has been tested, but all the tests have made it stronger. And I think we were destined for this, destined to be a light to others. She gazes straight into the cameras, her tears shining, her face set in eternity. And I vow to you, Kody, I will always be with you. The crowd applauds more enthusiastically this time, the noise reverberating off the vaulted ceiling. Robyn breathes deeply, relieved. She's done the difficult part. But Christine understands the difficult part is only just starting. Kody grins, drawing Robyn closer, saying something the microphones can't pick up, but the cameras adore. He stands triumphant, invincible. But at that moment of pride, Christine stands up. Gasps scatter through the hall. Guests crane their necks. Cameras swing like spotlights. Christine clutches the purse against her chest, her face pale, but her eyes blazing. "I'm sorry," she says, her voice cutting through the applause like a blade. "I can't sit here and let this charade continue." The audience freezes. Janelle catches her arm, hissing, "Christine, don't." But Christine brushes her off. She moves into the aisle, her heels clinking on the gleaming floor, the sounds ricocheting through the silence. Kody's smile hesitates. Robyn's tears evaporate at once, leaving panic in their wake. Meri remains still, her breath locked in her throat. Christine halts midway down the aisle, confronting Kody and Robyn. Her hand shakes as she looks into her purse. "You speak of love. You speak of family. But would you like to hear how your children feel about you, Kody? Would you like to really hear it?" Gasps cause a ripple again. The officiant stammers, attempting to regain composure. "Maybe we should." "No." Christine snaps, her voice sharp as steel. "This is the only moment, the only time the truth will actually be heard. And if you've ever wondered what it feels like when a secret explodes in public, you're about to find out." She unfolds the letter, her fingers trembling. The room leans forward. Cameras zoom. Kody's face turns red, his jaw clenching. Robyn's lips part in horror. Christine reads, "Dad, I love you but I don't know you anymore. You don't see us. You just see her. You say we're family issues, but only when it is the family you choose to see. I'm done pretending. I'm done being invisible." The sentences fall like stones in a pond, spreading ripples outwards, leaving wreckage behind. A child's voice, untamed and exposed, uttered by a mother who could no longer stand the quiet. The mob murmurs, shifting uncomfortably. Others avert their gaze. Others whisper angrily. Robyn shakes her head, under her breath, muttering no. No. Kody moves forward, his voice booming. "Enough. This is not the time, Christine. You will not hijack our moment." But Christine doesn't stop. She holds the letter higher, her voice growing stronger with each word. "You wanted a stage, Kody. Well, here it is. And this is the truth you've been hiding." Robyn bursts into tears again. But they're not soft, graceful tears anymore. They're jagged, broken sobs. She turns to Kody, pleading, "Make her stop. Please." Kody's fists clench at his sides. He looks ready to explode. And in the next row, Janelle finally gets up too. She doesn't say anything yet, but her eyes meet Christine's, and a silent message is sent. "If you crash, I'm crashing with you." The Vow Renewal, which was once a sparkling production of oneness, is now falling apart, strand by strand before everyone's eyes. And if you believe this is the high point of the storm, believe me, the lightning hasn't even flashed yet. Christine's voice breaks as she seals the letter, her hands shaking. She folds it with slow deliberation and addresses Kody directly. "You can stage it. You can pay for cameras. You can stand here and lie. But the truth doesn't go away just because you don't want to hear it." There is a moment of silence, heavy, stifling silence, and then chaos. Guests murmur loudly. Some even get up to depart. The officiant attempts to bring order, his voice overpowered. Robyn clutches Kody's arm, weeping. "Say something. Do something." Janelle moves forward, her placid face hiding the flames within. And Meri, still seated, still silent, finally breathes out, her lips opening as if she too might utter a word. But before she can speak, Kody thumps his fist on the podium. The sound rings out in the hall, shocking everyone into silence. His eyes burn with anger as he points at Christine. "You've crossed a line." The crowd gasps in unison. Christine stands firm, refusing to retreat. "No, Kody. You did." The tension builds. One mistake, one misstep, and the family could break apart before all of their eyes. And then, from the rear of the hall, a voice speaks, sudden, unwelcome, slicing through the tempest like a blade. "Is that truly the entire truth?
Heads turn to the doors. Someone stands in the darkness, moving cautiously into the light. The voice lingers in the air like a blade, each head turning to face the massive doors at the rear of the hall. The music ceases, the quartet suspended between notes, bows in midair. Cameras screech wildly, attempting to follow the figure into the light. Gasps travel like waves, as faces process recognition. It isn't a stranger. It's one of Kody's kids. The boy, no longer a boy, not yet hardened into full manhood, walks with slow, measured steps down the aisle. His name is spoken like a prayer and a sin at once. Gabriel, Janelle's son, the one who had walked away from the cameras, who had stopped filming, who hadn't appeared in public for years. Christine's chest goes still. She hadn't expected him to show up. She had imagined the letter would be her sole recourse, the sole verity uttered this evening. But behold, flesh and blood, with a voice of his own. Kody's face goes pale, then goes red with anger. He takes one step forward, extending a trembling finger at his son. You don't belong here. Gabriel doesn't blink. His eyes smolder as he passes through ranks of stunned guests. His voice firm, louder now. You speak of love, Dad, of forgiveness, of family. But the reality is you deserted us. Long before anyone else deserted us. A gasp. Robyn seizes Kody's arm, hissing softly. Don't do it. Please don't do this here. But Kody wrenches free, marching toward his son. The officiant takes a step backward. Helpless, abandoned. When secrets are whispered by those you believed were silent, the world tilts. Gabriel halts mid-aisle, his back to the aisle, between Christine and the stage. He's shaking his head, his words cutting as shattered glass. You took her, he says, his nod in Robyn's direction. You centered everything around her, and you said we had to accept it or leave. So we left. But you didn't lose wives, Dad. You lost children. Christine covers her mouth, crying. Janelle, trembling, gets up. She doesn't run to Gabriel, doesn't restrain him. She only stares at him with heartbreak and pride in her eyes. He is speaking what she couldn't. Kody's jaw tightens, his fist balled at his sides. You ungrateful. He stops himself, realizing every camera is pointed at him. He forces a smile, a ghastly stretch of lips, and says instead, this isn't the place for this conversation. Gabriel laughs bitterly, a sound too old for his young face. Funny, because you've never given us a place for it anywhere else. Meri shifts restlessly, her eyes flying between father and son. Her chest is weighted, her throat constricted. She would like to speak, but the words are not forthcoming. Not yet. The crowd, which was once respectful and quiet, now hums with gossip. Some are outraged, some are excited. They had come for a vow renewal, but they are witnessing a family break apart. Robyn advances, her tears streaming down, her voice shaking with desperation. Stop this. This is a sacred day, a healing day. Gabriel, please. I love you. Gabriel silences her with a glare. Don't even think about it. You're not my mother. You don't get to play that part in my life. You drove him away from the rest of us. Robyn gasps, holding her chest as if hit. Her bouquet falls from her fingers, petals raining like ash across the ground. And in this instant, the fractures in the Brown family aren't fractures anymore. They're canyons no one can bridge. Kody starts forward, his voice thundering, pleading, you will not show disrespect to my wife in front of all these people. But Gabriel won't back down. He moves forward, his tone lower now, nearly a whisper, but cutting through the silence all the same. You insulted all of us the moment you preferred her to your own children. Christine shuts her eyes. The words blades. She's heard before, but never so loud, never so absolute. Janelle steps forward toward her son, but hesitates. This is his battle, his truth. Kody's tranquility falters, his chest labors, his face flushed red. Get out, he spits. Get out before I. But he doesn't get the chance, because another voice, shaking but firm, breaks through the turmoil. From the rear of the room, another child moves forward, this time not just a son, a daughter. Yusabel, Christine's girl. The audience opens up with new gasps. Two children, two voices, two truths colliding simultaneously. Isabel's eyes glint. Her face pale and resolute. She glides past the shocked guests, reaching Gabriel midway down the aisle. Her voice trembles, but she refuses to be still. You made me feel invisible. You made us all feel invisible. And you don't get to stand here and say that this is love. Christine sobs openly now, her shoulders shaking. Meri's hand trembles on her lap. Janelle clasps her hands together, as if in prayer. When children rise, the lies of their parents collapse under the weight of truth. Kody steps back a pace, mouth dropping open, words being lost. Robyn drops to her knees, sobbing. The officiant has abandoned all hope. The script forgotten. Everyone in the audience is sitting on the edge of their seats, eyes wide with shock, breaths shallow and gasping. Gabriel lays a hand on Isabel's shoulder, holding her steady. We're not going to spoil a wedding, he explains quietly. We're here because you already destroyed the family. The silence drops again, this time thicker. Christine regards her daughter with wonder, with sorrow, with pride. Janelle clamps her lip, tears streaming freely. Meri finally whispers, as if to herself, they're brave, braver than we ever were. Kody glances from child to child, his anger toppling into something else, something more sinister. His voice breaks. Do you know what you're doing? Do you have any idea how this makes us look? Gabriel's expression grows cold. Perhaps it's time that people saw the truth. The cameras record every moment. This is no longer a family feud. It's an event, a reckoning. And if you believe the storm is done, you're mistaken. The thunder is yet to roll in. Robyn is grasping the hem of her dress, shaking her head, crying hysterically. She looks up at Kody, voice raw. Make it stop. Please. Make it stop. But for the first time, Kody cannot prevent anything. His children are in front of him, not as children to be shushed, but as witnesses against him. And in their faces, the verdict has already been given. The vow renewal is no longer a celebration. It is a trial by fire. And just when it looks like nothing more can go down, Meri stands up from her chair. Her tone is soft, but it rings out. They're right, Kody. Gasp after gasp rings out once more. Robyn stops mid-sob. Kody turns, his face scrunched up in shock. What did you say? Meri's voice gets louder, firmer. They're right, you've lost us. You've lost them. And no speech, no ceremony, no cameras can cover that up anymore.
The room falls into absolute silence. The cameras even flinch, as if they are shocked by what she is saying. Christine is gaping. Janelle puts her hand over her mouth. Robyn is shaking her head vigorously, saying no, no, no. And Kody Brown, patriarch, husband, father, the man who had always kept it all together, appears suddenly tiny, human, broken. He takes a step back, his hands shaking, his eyes scanning the room like a trapped animal. His lips open, but nothing emerges. The silence hangs, agonizing. And then, from beyond the hall, there is a crack of thunder. Actual thunder. The storm has at last come. The chandeliers shudder with the noise. Guests cringe, and in that instant, everyone understands the wedding's over before it ever started. Thunder shakes the hall, rocking the chandeliers, and causing the petals on the floor to quiver. For an instant, nobody takes a breath. The family, the guests, the cameras all hang suspended in the quiet of a storm that won't stay out. Kody's chest labors. His fingers curl around the podium edge until his knuckles are white. His gaze flits from Gabriel to Isabel, then Christine, Janelle, and Meri. Each face is averted from him. Each sentence uttered this evening has gradually stripped him of the facade he attempted to create. He senses the fractures spreading beneath his feet. Robyn cries hysterically, holding on to the edge of his jacket like a woman drowning at sea, clinging to a piece of wood. Kody, please, please, just speak, make this right. But Kody doesn't respond to her. He smacks his hand hard against the podium, the echo ringing out in the hall like a crack of a gun. Guests jump, kids cover their heads. The cameras move in tight, eager to capture the anger on his face. Do you think you can just stand there and humiliate me? His voice trembles with fury. Do you think you can rewrite the truth with your little speeches? With your letters? With your lies? Christine's body goes rigid. But she does not budge. Janelle squares her shoulders, refusing to back down. Gabriel stands up straight, protecting Isabel as if preparing for impact. Mary's hands shake, but her gaze remains locked onto Kody. When a man loses his power, his words become weapons. Cody's finger thrusts in Christine's direction. You abandoned me, you walked away. Don't play like this has something to do with love or family, you were selfless. Mary's hands shake but her gaze remains locked onto Kody. You destroyed everything. Christine's cheeks flame, tears glistening in her eyes. But her voice remains firm. I left because you left us long before I walked out the door. You left in every way that counted. The crowd gasps, murmurs wave. Some avert their gaze, others edge forward, attracted to the breakdown like moths to a light. Kody turns on Janelle. His words spew venom. And you stuck with me all those years, and for what? To stab me in the back now? To let our son prance in here and humiliate me? Janelle stands up slowly, her face pale but angry. Don't you dare blame Gabriel. He's telling the truth we were too cowardly to say. Her voice cracks a little, but she controls it. We didn't embarrass you, Kody. You embarrassed yourself. The hall trembles once more, thunder booming like applause from above. Robyn screams louder, holding on harder. Cody's face distorts, twisted between fury and despair. He glances at Meri, who remained longest, who he always thought he still controlled. Meri, he growls, his voice breaking. Tell them I tried. Tell them I did everything I could. Mary's lips tremble, but her eyes don't soften. She shakes her head slowly.
You did everything for yourself, Kody.
And that's not the same as trying for us. Her words land like a blade. Kody staggers back, as though struck. Robyn gasps, staring at Meri in disbelief. The truth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet sentence that destroys everything. Cody's voice again rises, frantic, desperate. You're all against me, all of you. After all that I've done, everything I've sacrificed, you turn me into the bad guy. His arms wide open, speaking to the guests now. See this? This is betrayal. This is mutiny in my own household. Some visitors look away, embarrassed. Others nod awkwardly, not knowing which way to go. But the cameras remain locked in, wallowing in each syllable, each tear, each bead of sweat. Christine stands forward, her tone level but firm. This isn't mutiny, Kody. This is freedom. The words hang heavy. Liberation. A word that promises freedom, but demands pain. Janelle nods subtly, agreeing without speaking. Gabriel and Isabel tighten their stance, their young shoulders carrying the weight of years. Robyn clutches her head, shaking, sobbing, her mascara smearing down her cheeks. No, 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 no. This was supposed to fix everything. This was supposed to show the world we're stronger than ever. Christine's eyes soften, but the words she speaks are firm. The world isn't witnessing strength tonight, Robyn. They're witnessing the truth. Kody bellows in anger, his voice ringing off of marble and glass. Enough. Enough of this. He strides away from the podium, towards Christine, his expression contorted with rage. Gasps break out. Guests stand up. Security changes restlessly. Gabriel moves forward, placed between his father and Christine. His voice is firm, but his hands tremble. You won't touch her. Not ever again. Kody halts, his face mere inches from his son. Their gazes clash. Father and son, once inseparable, now opponents. For an endless tormenting moment, the room stands suspended. And if you've ever wondered when love turns into war, this is the exact second. Cody's chest heaves, his fists tremble, but he doesn't move. Not forward, not back. He's trapped in his own fury, unable to act, unable to retreat. The silence burns hotter than any scream. Finally he spits the words, low and venomous. You're dead to me. Christine gasps. Janelle screams. Isabel has both hands over her mouth. Meri shakes her head in shock. Robyn wails louder, muttering, no please. Gabriel doesn't blink. His eyes are shining, but his voice is unyielding. Then maybe I was dead to you a long time ago. The language slices deeper than any knife. Kody lurches backward, his anger sinking into something empty, something shattered. For the first time tonight, he appears less of a despot, and more of a man who has lost everything. The storm raging outside booms more fiercely, rain drumming against the glass, lightning flashing across each tear, each wrinkle, each furled fist. The ceremony of vow renewal has degenerated into a battlefield, the altar into a cemetery of promises. The officiant clears his throat, his voice trembling. Perhaps we should conclude this ceremony. No. Robyn sobs, her voice raw. She stands up on legs shaking, her dress huddling around her knees, her eyes frantic. We can still make this right. Kody, please. Save this. Save us. But Kody doesn't stir. His eyes are empty, his shoulders hunched. He has no words left. Christine moves back, holding on to Isabel's hand. Janelle grasps Gabriel's arm. Meri dabs at her eyes. They are all tired, but they are all free. And then, just as the destruction appears to be total, the doors burst open once more. Storm wind blusters into the hall, sending flowers flying, snuffing out candles. Guests shriek, covering their faces, and framed in the doorway is a figure no one had anticipated seeing tonight. It's not a kid, it's not a guest, it's someone out of Kody's history. The doors burst shut against the walls. As the tempest hollers down the hall, the candles gutter out. Flower petals fall like fearful birds on the floor. Gasps ascend as all heads turn to the door, where a form stands sodden in rain, flanked by lightning. No one can believe it at first. Some whisper, some cover their mouths, some strain to see through the fading light. Then recognition washes over the room in a wave. It's Christine's mother, Christine's line's matriarch, the woman who blessed Kody's marriage with her daughter years ago. She hasn't appeared in public in years. Christine's eyes go wide, her hand over her mouth. Janelle blinks in shock. Meri bristles in her chair. Even Gabriel and Isabel take a step back, not knowing what to anticipate. But Kody pales. His lips quiver, his jaw agape. He looks like a ghost has appeared in the doorway. The woman advances, her dripping shawl behind her, her silver hair clinging to her face. But her eyes are keen, unflinching. She does not glance at Robyn, or the children, or even at Christine. She fixes her gaze on Kody. You always had a taste for the limelight, she says, her voice rebounding off marble and glass. But tonight the tale is not yours any longer. The hallway falls silent once more, only the storm raging outside. Cameras shift, capturing every possible angle. The officiant loses their footing, left behind. Robyn is frozen in terror, holding on to Kody's arm. Why is she here? Why would she be here? Christine is struggling to breathe. She and her mother have not spoken in years. But here she stands, called by something greater than family drama, called by truth. When the past comes in, the present can never remain as it was. Kody attempts to locate his voice, but it breaks. You don't belong here. The woman moves in her direction, her shoes making wet imprints on the carpet. I belonged here before you ever belonged, and you know it. Whispers spread through the crowd. Guests whisper anxiously, attempting to fill in the blanks as to who this woman is, and why her being there seems like a judgment. Christine's chest hurts. She recalls the day her mom cautioned her years ago about Kody's charm. A man who requires everyone's love is a man who won't be able to give it back. Christine hadn't heeded that. But now the reality of it burns like ever before. Janelle advances, trembling in voice. Why now? Why tonight? The older woman gazes at her, then Christine, then Kody. Because lies grow when nobody stands up against them. And tonight, I am not silent. Kody's fists are shaking at his sides. You don't get to come in here and judge me. You don't understand what I've given up. But the woman interrupts him with a bitter, hollow laugh. Sacrifice? You call this sacrifice? Deserting children, playing favorites, breaking promises. Those aren't sacrifices, Kody. Those are sins. The crowd gasps. Robyn cries louder, attempting to grab Kody, but he shrugs out of her clasp. His voice booms over the thunder. Enough. I won't be humiliated by you, by them, by anyone. Gabriel moves forward, automatically protecting his mother and grandmother. It's not shame if it's the truth, he growls. Isabel nods, her tears running down her face. We just wanted you to look at us. That's all we ever wanted. The most pitiful thing is this. The ones crying out to be seen are often the ones who are standing closest to you. Kody's face contorts for a moment, but the rage comes back, more vehement than before. He points at Christine's mother, his voice trembling. You poisoned her against me. From the very start, you never wanted her to love me. Christine's mom moves forward until she's within a few feet of him. No, Kody. You did it yourself. Every time you chose control over compassion. Every time you talked about love, but lived domination. Every time you made her question her worth. Christine can no longer contain herself. Tears flow freely as she whispers. She's right. The words are barely spoken, but they ripple through the hall like gunfire. Janelle clutches Christine's arm, her own face wet from tears. Meri gazes at the ground, humiliated, tormented. Robyn slumps into a chair, muttering prayers no one can hear. Kody's chest rises and falls, his anger seething. You think you heroes. You think this proves you strong. You are all weak. That's why you weren't able to manage me. Weren't able to manage the reality of being in a family like this. Meri finally lifts her gaze, her voice firm for the first time this evening. No, Kody. It's you who couldn't handle love. The silence that follows her statement is oppressive. Robyn gasps, looking at Meri like she has betrayed her. Christine grips her daughter's hand tightly. Janelle nods slowly, her lips pressed into a thin line. Gabriel clenches his jaw, his eyes burning with fury and grief. And Kody, for the first time his voice trembles. His shoulders droop, his eyes shine, though he'd never own up to tears. He scans the room, the wives, the children, the guests, and finds himself completely alone. Even the loudest man is silent when the truth drowns him out. But then, just when the suspense is at its height, the storm raging outside erupts. Lightning flashes almost beside them, and the hall is in partial darkness. There is a scream. The chandeliers swing wildly, one chain creaking with the effort. The officiant barks for people to remain calm, but his voice is drowned in the commotion. Guests scramble, others making a dash for the doors. The cameras roll on, feeding on each minute of catastrophe. In the chaos, Christine's mother grasps her daughter's hand. It's time, she murmurs. Time to stop letting him dictate the narrative. Christine shudders, caught between terror and bravery. Janelle nods firmly, her voice thunderous. Then let's finish it. Kody bellows over the tempest, his voice untamed. You won't steal this away from me. This is my heritage, my legacy. But the words ring empty now, overwhelmed by thunder, by tears, by truths too heavy to bear. And then, amid the chaos, a loud crack sounds from above. One of the chandeliers collapses, descending upon the floor with an explosion of metal and glass. Guests shriek. Petals catch fire from burning candles. Smoke billows. The hall is no longer just shattered by words. It's crumbling beneath nature itself. In the smoke and the screams, Christine, Janelle, Meri and their kids hold on to each other. Robyn hugs Kody, crying. But his gaze is still on Christine's mother, standing tall and unyielding. The storm has shattered everything open. And yet, even worse is to come. Because in the midst of it all, a voice cuts through the din. A new voice, steady, powerful, slicing through the smoke like steel. Then let the world determine who you truly are. The cameras swivel, searching for the origin. And when they find it, the whole room gasps. The hallway is a war zone now. Smoke rises from knocked-over candles. Glass shatters beneath panicking feet. And thunder shakes the very foundations of the building. Guests scream and run, some toward the doors, others in paralyzed horror. Cameras, obstinate and unflinching, continue to roll, their red lights flashing through the smoke. And then, a voice slices through the crowds. Steady, calm, unabashed. Then let the world decide who you really are. The room quiets, as if bidden. Heads swivel. And there, silhouetted by the shattered doors, stands a figure no one saw coming. A now former producer of the Sister Wives program. His name, Mark, is spoken in hushed tones, as if it's a secret. He advances with a microphone held in one hand and a folder in the other, rainwater beating on his coat. Christine gasps. Janelle's jaw drops.
Meri freezes. Even Christine's mother blinks in shock. But Kody looks like he's seen a ghost. Mark's voice is firm, carrying over the storm. You've stood on this stage tonight pretending to be the victim, pretending to be the man wronged. But I've been behind the cameras. I've seen what the world hasn't. The crowd bursts out in whispers, their fear momentarily traded for curiosity. Robyn grasps Kody's sleeve, shaking her head wildly. No, he can't. Kody growls, his voice hoarse. Get out of here. You don't belong here. Mark moves further into the hallway, not minding the glass and smoke. His gaze fixes on Kody, unflinching. I belong where the truth is required. And tonight, the truth is suffocating this room. When someone who is not an insider has the guts to speak, it's an affirmation of what insiders were too scared to utter. He raises the folder, knocking on it for emphasis. This is not gossip. This is not hearsay. These are documents. Production notes, transcripts, video we couldn't broadcast because it was too incriminating. And tonight, if you want the world to know who you truly are, I'll share it. Gasps flow anew. Christine's knees turn weak. She clutches the back of a chair to steady herself. Janelle holds her steady, eyes fixed on Mark. Meri covers her mouth, her breathing staccato and ragged. Gabriel and Isabel stand frozen, hands clasped together. Kody staggers forward, his voice thunderous. You wouldn't dare. But Mark doesn't blink. You've built an empire on control, Kody. But the only thing you never learned is that cameras don't lie. People do. Robyn cries harder, falling into a chair. She breathes softly. Please, Kody, stop this before it's too late. But Kody can't listen. His world is falling apart too quickly. Christine's mother moves closer to Mark, her gaze piercing. Show us. The guests whisper, some repeating softly. Show it, show it. The request becomes a chant, voices falling over each other, reverberating beneath the storm. Kody's fists tremble, his face beat red with rage. He shouts above the din, this is my family, my story. You don't get to steal that from me. But Mark just shakes his head. You already lost it. All I'm doing is holding up the mirror. And here's the fact about mirrors. They don't make monsters. They simply reflect the ones already present. Mark strides towards the podium, placing the folder on it. He opens it, drawing out pages with dates and times on them. April 14th. Behind camera, you said Christine's tears were bad for the brand. August 2nd. You threatened to cut off Janelle financially if she didn't comply. November 9th. You instructed cameras to stop rolling when Gabriel pleaded with you to attend his graduation. Every word is a punch in the face. Christine quietly weeps, recalling. Janelle's hands tremble, but her jaw is clenched. Meri closes her eyes, tears escaping. Gabriel clenches his fists. Isabel hides her face on Christine's arm. The audience gasps more loudly with each discovery. The storm raging outside seems muted compared to the tempest brewing within. Kody bellows, his words hoarse, desperate. Lies, half-truths twisted. You're attempting to kill me because I wouldn't let you control my life. Mark glares at him coldly. No, Kody, you killed yourself. I merely recorded it. The words cut across the hall. Kody is powerless for the first time. Really powerless. Robyn reaches for him, her hands shaking. Kody, please, just stop fighting. Please. But he yanks his arm away from her, fueled by anger. He turns on Christine, his gaze incandescent. This is your fault. You introduced this poison to my home. Christine stands up, her voice low but cutting. No, Kody, I'm just not afraid of it anymore. And sometimes the deadliest weapon in the world is a woman who no longer fears.
Kody shudders, his chest rising and falling, his face contorted in rage. For an instant, it appears that he may hit the podium, or possibly toss something across the room. But before he can act on that impulse, Mark pulls out a small USB drive from his pocket and holds it aloft. This, he continues, is what kills you. Hours of video no one has ever seen. And if you don't end this farce tonight, I'll release it to every network, every platform, every set of eyes willing to watch. The room is in pandemonium. Guests shout, some in awe, others in fear. Robyn's voice rings out, no, don't. Christine covers her face, horrified. Janelle's eyes go wide, her chest heaving as she breathes. Meri glances down, shaking her head in shock. And Kody, he stands stock still. His face goes white. For the first time, he doesn't appear angry, not even sad, but frightened. The tempest outside roars with increased ferocity, shuttering the windows, on the verge of ripping the structure apart. But within, the real storm is the silence that ensues. Mark's statement. The lips of Kody quiver. The body trembles. The booming voice now resorts to a whisper. You wouldn't. The eyes of Mark are icy. Try me. The hallway stands in suspense. Christine clutches Isabel's hand more fiercely. Gabriel hunches his shoulders. Janelle clutches Christine's arm for support. Meri sets her chin, her jawing eyes, and Robyn, on her knees, whimpers the same phrase repeated over and over, like a prayer she no longer has faith in. Please. Not like this. Not like this. But the reality is that it was bound to be this way. It was only a question of when. Mark slowly lowers the USB, shoving it back into his jacket. This is the end tonight. Either way, the guests whisper. Agitated, fearful. The cameras close in on Kody, filming the sweat that forms on his brow, the terror in his eyes. The man who once ruled an empire of wives, children and followers now seems small, trapped, undone. Kody totters, holding tight to the podium. His voice cracks. I just wanted to be loved. The words shock the room. Christine gasps. Janelle freezes. Meri blinks back tears. Even Gabriel's jaw loosens. Isabel raises her head, wide eyes. For one heartbeat, the rage is absent. Only a shattered man is left. But the heartbeat passes. Kody's face hardens once more. His voice returns, jagged and desperate. But if I can't have love, I'll have control. The words give the room a shiver. Guests step back. Robyn cries harder, begging him to stop. Christine's mother grips her daughter's hand tighter. Mark squints his eyes, getting ready for what's next. And then in one swift, vicious motion, Kody sweeps the folder from the podium and rips it in two, sending paper fluttering across the floor. He attacks Mark, growling, "You won't destroy me." Screams ring out. Security comes running. The tempest outside crashes along with the pandemonium within. And at that instant, the vow renewal officially expires. But the war is just starting. The instant Kody makes his move, the hall explodes. Security rushes in, guests shriek. Chairs bang against marble. Glass shatters beneath panicked footfalls, as the formerly joyful vow renewal becomes a nightmare of fear and panic. The storm outside shakes the windows, lightning flashing like a strobe above the mayhem. Mark tightens his grip, holding the USB firmly in his fist as Kody's reaches for him. But the blow is never delivered, as Gabriel jumps in the way and pushes his father hard, with every bit of anger built up over the years. Kody stumbles, his body slamming into the podium, sending it tilting to one side. Papers blow like snow in the smoke-filled air. His bellow rings out across the hall, half rage, half grease, half craziness. Robyn cries out his name, dropping to the floor, tearing at her dress. Christine catches hold of Isabel's arm and drags her towards Janelle, protecting her child as if Kody has turned into something more sinister than a father. Meri, shaking, remains glued to the spot, her eyes wide, her breathing shallow. The most pitiful thing in the world is seeing a man self-destruct before one's very eyes. Security drags Kody back, his fists flailing wildly, his face flushed and speckled with sweat. "You can't steal this from me," he yells. "This is my family, my history." His voice is lost in the thunder that booms above him, as if the world itself laughs at his statement. Mark, remaining upright, adjusts his jacket. His tone is serene, chilly, unflappable. "Your tale is finished, Kody. And the world will hear the truth, despite what you want." The cameras move in tighter, recording each tear, every pleading wail, every shattered look. This is no longer a vow renewal ceremony. It's an open-air autopsy of a family. Christine hugs Isabel more tightly, muttering comforting words. But her gaze is fixed on Kody, and her heart is racing with a bittersweet combination of regret and triumph. Janelle stands beside her, firm and unyielding, grabbing Gabriel's shoulder. "You did the right thing," she breathes to her son, But Gabriel's face is ashen, his lungs laboring. He never wanted this battle. But the battle arrived regardless. Meri finally rises. Her knees weak, her lips trembling. She speaks quietly at first, but her words cut through the noise. Look at yourself, Kody. Look at what you've become. Kody freezes for a fraction of a second, his wild eyes snapping to hers. For years Meri's silence kept her invisible. For years she swallowed her pain. But now her voice is steady, strong, undeniable. You wanted to be loved. She weeps, her tears streaming down. But you never learned to love us. Not even close. And now here you stand alone. And still you can't understand why. The words weigh heavy, falling onto every chest in the room. Even the tempest raging outside holds its breath. Robyn cries all the harder, crumpling into herself. Christine holds her hand over her mouth, her shoulders convulsing. Janelle's eyes shine. Gabriel lowers his head. Usable holds on tighter to her mother. And Kody, his chest rises and falls with effort. His eyes bug out, seeking someone, anyone, to protect him. But no one does. Sometimes the worst punishment isn't losing a battle. It's discovering no one's fighting for you anymore. Security relaxes their hold on him slightly, feeling his body sag. But then his anger blazes up again. Wild, spasmodic. You'll regret this. He yells at Christine, at Janelle, at Meri, at the children. His voice breaks, rough and shattered. You'll all regret turning against me. Mark lifts the USB once more, hand firm. The only one who will be sorry, Kody, is you. When the world finally discovers you in all your glory. The room hums with gossip, with dread, with excitement. The guests, still against the walls, won't take a step forward. The cameras devour every phrase. The tempest thunders louder, rattling doors on their hinges. Christine's mother emerges, her voice firm for one so advanced in age. It's over, Kody. Let it end before you do something you can't undo. But Kody shakes his head wildly, his curls lashing sweat across his face. No, it ends when I say it ends. This family is mine. Gabriel glares at him, his voice breaking with anger. We're not your property. We're your children. His words are sharp, final, and devastating. The silence that follows is unbearable. Kody's face twists, but no words come. He trembles, his body shaking under the weight of what he's lost. And here's the truth. When children stop begging to be loved, the parent has already lost everything. Mark moves closer, speaking softly so his voice slices cleaner than a scream. It's time to move on, Kody. The life you constructed is lost. The only decision left for you is how it ends. The cameras zoom in on Kody's face, red, tear-stained, shattered. He glances around frantically, his eyes finally locking with Robyn's. She reaches out to him, her sobs strangling words. I still love you, even if no one else does. But Kody doesn't budge. He doesn't reach for her hand. He doesn't even look at her completely. His eyes slide past her, to Christine, to Janelle, to Meri. The three women who once thought in him, and now stand firm, together, liberated. Robyn's crying becomes wailing. She holds on to him, but he doesn't react. Her desperation only makes his vacuity more apparent. And then from the rear of the hall, a murmur, applause, tentative at first, then growing stronger, louder, until the whole room was cheering. Not for Robyn, not for Kody, for Janelle, for Meri, for Christine, for the children who testified, for the truth that was finally set free. Kody's face twists. The clapping is knives. He jerks his head back, yelling over the din. No, this isn't over. I won't let you take everything from me. But the thing about losing everything is that sometimes it's already gone before you even realize. Mark holds the USB aloft. The world will see, and when they do, your power is done. Kody rushes again, but this time security pins him harder, pulling him back. He kicks and screams, but he is spent, exhausted by fury. Robyn screams his name, but he does not respond. Christine stands in silence, her tears drying into determination. Janelle's face sets. Meri closes her eyes, whispering a small prayer for a conclusion. The storm raging outside surges once more, rumbling the hall, as if the world itself is determined to have this chapter finished. And then, the electricity goes off. The hall is consumed by darkness. Gasps break out, screams ring out. The cameras flash no more, the red lights going out. The only light comes from bursts of lightning in the tall windows. In the darkness, Kody's voice pierces, unhuman, urgent, as if it's coming from nowhere. If you want war, then war is what you'll get. The words freeze every spine in the room, and when the lights come on again, one thing is certain: the USB has vanished. The lights come back on, humming weakly as if unwilling to resume. The hallway is a mess of broken glass, crushed flowers, and shaken guests huddled against the walls. Everyone glances frantically at the podium, upon which the USB was placed only moments before. It's vanished. Mark's face sets in stone. His hands pat his jacket. His pockets, nothings. It was right here. He growls, panic creeps into his voice. Christine gasps, holding her daughter tight. Janelle's eyes scan the room, slashing and searching. Meri takes a shaky breath, already knowing what this bodes. Kody's laugh shatters the stillness. Low, bitter, mad. You see, you thought you had me trapped. You thought you'd ruined me. But I still win. Robyn grips his arm frantically, sobbing, whispering, Kody, stop this, please. But he doesn't hear her. He takes a step forward, his smile ragged and unhinged. That evidence, that so-called truth you insisted on the world witnessing, it's vanished. Just like the control you once had over me. This family is still mine. But Christine's mom raises an eyebrow, her tone slicing through the air. Then why are you so scared? Because the greatest faces are mere cover-ups for the greatest fear. Gasp ripples through the crowd. Christine steps forward, her voice shaking but unyielding. You believe covering up the evidence will make tonight disappear. What we heard. It's already out, Kody. Truth is not on a USB. It's in us. Janelle nods resolutely. We don't need video to understand who you are. We've lived it. Meri's voice breaks, but she regains it. And for the first time, I'm not afraid to say it out loud. You lost us a long time ago. The words cut deeper than any video ever would. Robyn cries harder, holding her chest. Gabriel moves towards her, his jaw clenched. You may take the USB, you may take the papers, but you can't erase what we uttered. Everyone heard it. Everyone witnessed it. The crowd murmurs, wincing, whispering, videotaping on their phones. The cameras might have blinked black for a second, but the reality already went live, minutes ago, through eyes and ears that will never forget. Mark snarls at Kody, his words made of steel. You believe the USB was the sole copy? He waits, allowing the tension build. It wasn't. Kody's raucous grin collapses. He pales. The room gasps once more. Mark produces a second USB from within his jacket, waving it aloft. You can shatter podiums. You can rip up papers. But you will never delete the truth. Not this time. The hall erupts. Applause. Gasps. Cries. Even thunder outside seems to cheer. Christine sobs into her hands, overwhelmed. Janelle exhales in relief. Meri covers her mouth, whispering prayers of gratitude. Gabriel squeezes Isabel's shoulder. Robyn collapses entirely, weeping uncontrollably. And Kody, he collapses. His knees bang against the marble floor. His hands are over his face. He makes a sound no one has ever heard him make before. Not a shout, not a roar, but a cracked, throaty sob. Sometimes the strongest man in the room is merely the most delicate one. Behind the loudest voice, the wives watch, not in triumph, but in desolation. Christine leans over and whispers, "It didn't have to end this way." Janelle shakes her head, "But it always did." Meri dabs away tears. "We just didn't want to see it." The efficient, forgotten so long, now at last moves forward, his words shaking. "Ladies and gentlemen, I think you can safely say that this ceremony is over." Guests murmur agreement, some hurrying out, others lingering to witness the final unraveling of a man who once commanded so much. Christine turns to her children, her voice soft. "We're going home." Isabel nods, clinging to her mother. Gabriel places an arm around his Aunt Janelle. Together, they begin to walk away from the stage that once bound them. Meri stands for a moment longer, staring at Kody. He glances up at her, his face puffy and red from crying. For one heartbeat, he almost appears to be the young man she had loved. But then the moment is over. She turns, and she also walks away. Robyn remains. She kneels at his side, holding him, pleading with him. "We can still make it work. We can still begin again. Kody, please.
Don't let this end. But Kody remains silent, his eyes empty, his body relaxed. The storm raging outside grows quiet, as if spent by the drama. The hallway is still, except for Robyn's shattered sobs. And here is the most cruel of facts. Sometimes the struggle doesn't conclude with a bang, but with a whimper. Mark stores the USB safely away in his pocket. His work is completed. The truth shall be revealed. He knows this. Everybody knows this. The wives converge at the doors, standing as one for the first time in years, united not in love of Kody, but in survival, in truth, in freedom. Christine's mother is with them, her eyes shining with pride. It's over, she whispers. Christine nods. Yes, it's over. But Janelle glances back over the hall, to the shattered man still kneeling, grasped by the sole wife remaining at his side. Or perhaps, she breathes. It's only just starting. For the fallout will not stop tonight. The cameras have recorded the breakdown, but tomorrow the world will devour it. Headlines, footage, debates, the family's truth exposed for millions to pick over. And as the wives enter the tempest, into the rain that's almost purifying, one question occurs to every viewer. When the truth finally tears the man apart, who built a family, what does the family he abandoned do? Whose side are you on? Tell us in the comments below.